So Armon is the biggest troll in real life and in the game as you could possibly be. And clearly, as we were kind of saying too, you definitely gravitate towards the more technical type of characters, and that's the Wii. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Red Essence Games podcast. I'm Nick.
I'm Armon.
And we are game developers and also lifelong gamers. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about what your favorite Smash character says about you, which I think will be a fun one to dive into. But if you didn't know, before we get into that, we are currently working on a video game called Traveler's Refrain, which you can wishlist now on Steam. And we wanted to give you guys a little bit of a dev update and just kind of talk a little bit about some of the dev stuff we've been doing. So you want to kick us off with what we're talking about today?
Yeah, sure. So let's get into our dev update. So we're progressing pretty well on the game. Coming up to, closing things out. And we're working on the third dungeon right now with some polish.
Yep.
One thing we wanted to revisit is how to incorporate some of our mechanics that we've been implementing and how to use the mechanics that we already have in the game to create a fun dungeon experience. Instead of recreating or creating a bunch of new mechanics, we're looking to see which mechanics we can combine that we have already created that might make the game fun. So
because at this point too, we're like kind of further into the game, like in terms of like time. So we're trying to look at like what we've already built and being like, how can we like combine these things to make like an ultimate puzzle or an ultimate challenge or something like that.
Now, that doesn't mean that we can't add new mechanics. I think sometimes we create some art and then we're like, what would be interesting is if we could build this mechanic for this and kind of capitalize on some of the other mechanics we have. Something that's simple, not going to take, weeks to implement or something like that, right?
And what's been cool too, I actually think that building the puzzles and the design kind of stuff is almost the most fun thing to work on together, because we're both kind of sitting there like with a really sketchy map and we're like, all right, we have this room that we can like add something in. What is something we've built? What's something going on story wise that we can maybe integrate into like how the puzzle is like themed to this specific dungeon.
Right.
So right now we're working on that conveyor belt system.
Sure.
And that's been kind of a challenge, but it's a cool challenge. So basically we have a bunch of conveyor belts because in our world we have like robots, we have like ancient tech, and we also have like natural stuff.
Right.
So we're like, okay, wouldn't it be cool if you could move something on a conveyor belt that like, slots something into place or moves a block where it needs to be moved so that you can proceed through a door or whatever. And in our game, we have weapons that are, how would you phrase it? Like they're interactable with the environment.
Right. So
Traveler gets a hammer. Traveler's our main character. He gets a hammer, and you can like knock things around with it. So we're like, okay, what if you knock a block onto the conveyor belt, and then the conveyor belt moves the block, and then you do something else with the block? So that's what's been like a fun jumping off point with you is like we're sitting there like, okay, maybe the block like shoot something, or like I don't know, maybe it
how do we introduce the player to the mechanic first? How do we show them how it works, maybe give them a chance to figure it out, and then present them with a more challenging puzzle, and incorporate some of the other weapon mechanics that we have in relation to that. And also, if there's some devs out there that are watching this, there are differences when you're working with physics, whether or not you use the Unity built-in physics system or you simulate your own physics, which in a sense uses the Unity physics system, but it's not as like out of the box, as usual. So I think a lot of 2D devs do this. They basically say, when you hit the stick or when you hit this in a certain way or from a certain direction, move it in this direction. So that's what we do. And, we try to balance around, the weight of the objects and how they interact with the world. So we try to kind of balance that.
Definitely.
So Nick, how do you feel when I I want to create some really cool mechanics and I shoot the ideas at you?
Well, it depends how cool the mechanic is, because half the time you're asking me something that requires like 50,000 animations of art. And sometimes I have to say no, or we need to have a compromise. But I mean, this is the thing, man. You're definitely more like the puzzly kind of guy. So it's like sometimes I need to sit back and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a lot of work, but like, how can we make it work that it's not going to take like forever to like animate or whatever. And that was something I was just thinking about too. That's actually been kind of interesting with game development, being like newer devs, let's say, is we're having to do a lot of like putting ourselves in the player's shoes. So you also don't want to generate something that's so abstract that they're like, what the heck am I supposed to do? And like you were saying earlier, you really do need to think like, okay, if I'm a player and I've just walked into a dungeon and I'm seeing a new mechanic like this conveyor belt system, like how can we start them off with like almost the most baby easy thing first? So they're like, I get the general thing I'm supposed to be doing, and then we keep compounding on that while integrating older puzzle themes as well.
Right.
So that's been pretty fun, and I think, yeah, I mean, it's something that we're currently in the middle of building, but it's been.
It also has to do with the layout of the rooms too, right? Because the puzzles they could lead you to different rooms, based on how you approach them. Maybe you sit on a conveyor for too long and you get put in the room and you got to go back and like figure out how to get back to where you were. So we definitely trying to think about these different possibilities. Trying to make sure the player can't get stuck anywhere. Or
that's what I was just
too frustrated running around everywhere.
Dude, so. the bug fixing for stuff like this too is like you have to think everything through, because think about a conveyor belt, right? Basically you're like, okay, I'm the player, I step on a thing and it moves me to a point. So we have to designate like where the point is, where he ends. And half the time you don't want to be like, okay, there's a wall, but the game is going to like clip the player through the wall and then you're like stuck out of bounds. So that's been a fun challenge to overcome as well.
We've definitely had some weird scenarios where we put something on a conveyor and for whatever reason it just keeps going and going and
or
going.
Or it like blasts it.
Where the hell did it go? Just shoots it completely off screen. And you just find it like floating in the blue abyss of the Unity background.
We've had that with Traveler on the elevators as well. Like if we don't set the correct points or we're copying and pasting something, he'll get off an elevator and he'll just like start running to a completely different part of the scene and you like can't move and we're like, no. Oh man. Cool. All right. Why don't we hop into our main topic, which again is what your favorite Smash character says about you. And I think this is going to be fun because especially with Smash Ultimate, there's just so many freaking characters. So Armand and I kind of broke down what we think right now our top 5 characters would be, and that would be based more on gameplay and like what we're comfortable with.
I think it's what we like playing the most.
What we like playing.
If someone were to come up to you and be like, I'm gonna beat you in Smash.
Yeah.
What are you gonna bring out? Who are you gonna have to school them with? And show them who's boss. So
definitely. Okay, so
don't you love those people that like, you get on like an elevator with them or something, and they're just like, "Oh, you play Smash?" And you're like, "Yeah," and they're like, I'll totally beat your ass. Like, and you're like, no, you don't. No, you won't.
I think you're more confident than I am saying that, but we'll get into a little bit about Armand's favorite characters and what that says about him, because I think I've got quite a lot to say.
Same thing with Mario Kart. If anyone comes at me and like, I'll beat you in Mario Kart Double Dash, I'm like, okay, buddy.
We should preface this with Armand is very good at competitive games. I would say I'm not bad, but I'm like above average. But you're like almost like below expert. Like you could probably hop online and beat some people, but like the people that play it like all the time, you might still kind of get
like I wouldn't consider myself a pro
in
any of these games, but I'd say I'm probably better than the average player.
You're pretty good,
because I like really focus on the mechanics of things.
Also be sure to stick around to the end of the episode, because we are going to go over, as developers, what would make a good new Smash game, because Smash Ultimate really does feel like the ultimate Smash Bros. But we both have some thoughts in terms of like what they could do next time that might maybe make it a little bit more interesting. All right, let's start off with like a little bit of a history with these games, like our own personal histories, because again, I think you probably have more experience. So what was like the first Smash you played? Was it Smash 64?
Yeah, it was Smash 64. I mean, back in the day, anybody with a Nintendo 64 basically had Smash 64.
Yeah, or you had a friend that had it.
Right, or you had a friend that had it, and you were always at their house playing Smash and trying to unlock the characters. And it's like,
it's a good sleepover
you don't got,
game.
Oh man, you don't got, you don't got Falco. You don't got, oh man, like that's my best. You don't got Ness. Like Ness was like such a big deal back then.
Yeah.
So yes, Smash 64 was definitely my favorite. Well, not my favorite, but my first game.
Yeah. And then did you play all of them? Like every generation?
Oh yeah. I mean,
did you own all of them too, or did you just kind of play them?
No, I owned all of them.
Okay.
No, they were like a staple in our house.
Oh,
Like, my
gotcha.
brother really likes it too. He loves Smash just like I do, and he's better than me at it. I think he just started so young that he got so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely played the crap out of all of the Smash games. Like every time they came out, unlocked all the characters, and then we figured out how to be competitive, and like we just had fun with it.
Yeah, for me, it was like, I think I've definitely played all of them, but I actually I don't think I've owned any of them until the one on the Wii U. That one I got excited about because they had this giant roster and I knew they were kind of starting to change some stuff up. Right. But it was one of those things where it's like, I always had a friend that had it and I'd go over and, dude, those games are just so much fun. Just like straight up fun to play. Because I think the barrier to entry with them as well is not like super high. Like I remember coming over to your house one time playing Mortal Kombat after not playing it for a while, and it's like that game is so hard to just kind of jump into, in my opinion. Smash is like, you got some basic moves and it's more about the finesse between the characters.
I've noticed too that whenever you introduce a player to Smash, the first thing that they end up doing is they hit the B button because it has all the special abilities.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they focus on because a lot of majority of Smash is using the A button because you basically do these quick attacks with the A button and then you, in the right situation, use a B attack. But I feel like a lot of new players, they like to hit the B button because it does all the special cool moves.
Sure.
But they don't understand, like, you gotta
really need to rack that percentage up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like you kind of need to mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't know how to dodge and stuff like that. It makes it a little difficult for newcomers. But I think the cool thing about Smash is that once you start mastering all these little bits, like you just become like such a better player. Like just being able to dodge an attack, like that's game changing already. Like,
well, also doing your up B up thing. That's the one thing I always need to teach everybody because I'd say that's the most important thing. That's not intuitive unless you kind of know what you're doing.
Right.
All right, so let's dive into our top 5 now, and I say we start with our least or our number 5, and we'll go back and forth up to our number 1 because that's like the character that says the most about who we are as like a player or a game. Okay. It's more like who we are as a gamer and like how we like to play games. So, why don't you go first?
Sure. I'll go with Banjo.
Okay.
Is my number 5.
Okay. Well, why? What do you like about Banjo?
Well, I've always
tell me about him too, because I think he's one of the only characters in Ultimate I actually haven't played.
Yeah, I mean, he's strong. He's got really good, we call them do moves. It's like a jump when you hit jump and A.
Yeah.
Usually it's like a little twist attack, like a spin.
Okay.
So he's got a good do and then he's basically just he's got a really powerful over B attack that you only have 5, you can only use it 5 times in a life. And every time you use it, a little feather pops off of him.
Oh,
but it's a really strong attack if
what
you
does
land
it do?
You just basically zip across the screen, and if you hit the opponent, it just like sends them flying.
Got it.
It's a good finisher, and it's like you can really just kind of catch somebody off guard with it. But you want to be careful with it too, because you can become vulnerable.
Is it one of those things? Because I know there's certain moves where like you can like launch yourself just off the stage by accident, and you can't recover from it.
Yeah, I think also that. Yeah.
Okay.
As well, so
got it.
But overall, he's just fun to play, and he's nostalgic for me too.
Did you play Banjo-Kazooie?
I did. Yeah.
That's another game I never played.
It's just a purely perfect platformer, in my opinion. It just had so much awesome, like, gameplay and content. Like so many cool worlds and so many different mechanics, stuff to collect. You had to collect these puzzle pieces to open new doors. It's kind of like Mario 64.
Yeah,
where you had to
like
collect
Spyro or something like that.
Right, but you needed these jigsaw pieces to basically open new parts of the.
This could be a whole other. Actually, we should do a topic on platformers, like mascot platformers, because I have a lot of experience with those. But I think also isn't Banjo-Kazooie on the Switch N64 thing?
I think so. Yeah,
dude, maybe I'll need to play it.
Yeah, it's really cool because you play as Banjo and then you can switch to Kazooie and you can run faster and you can run up stuff and then eventually you can fly and you can go to like new areas and go underwater. It's like an epic adventure, but there's also like a bit of a story to it. Like Banjo's sister gets kidnapped by an evil witch in the beginning.
Of course, there's always an evil witch back in the 90s or whenever that game came out.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the music, of course, is just, I mean, it's a killer track.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm like wanting to play that
now.
I've been playing, I keep saying I've been playing FF7 Rebirth, and I'm going to say this for probably a couple weeks because it's like a freaking 150-hour long game.
Right.
But sometimes when you're playing like a really intense game, you're like, man, I just want to play something like super simple. You know what I mean? And that just sounds like a nice, like, cool down kind of game. That could be another good topic too, is like cool down games.
Cool down games, yeah.
So
I wouldn't say it's like the easiest game, but it's definitely chiller than most games. You just kind of run around and do fun stuff.
Collect
stuff. But there's also like a goal in each mission.
Sure.
In each level.
Got it. But it's not as annoying as like Crash Bandicoot, right?
Oh, no way.
That game's so hard, dude.
People just cheese that game because it's just so hard.
I know. All right, cool. So I think my number 5 is actually Sora, and part of this is because I love Kingdom Hearts, dude. I'm a huge, huge Kingdom Hearts nerd. And actually, part of this topic came about because the Sora amiibo just released a couple weeks ago. And as far as I know, that's like the final, like almost like putting the, I don't want to say the nail on the coffin, but you know what I mean? Like they're kind of laying Smash Ultimate to rest with Sora being the final amiibo.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, he's just a fun character to play as, and like he has all his like weird spell moves, and he kind of has like almost like Banjo, like a dashy sort of move that's been pretty fun to play as.
Like Sora from 365 over 2 days.
That's your favorite game, dude.
It is, yeah. Nick has been trying to get me to play what's it called? Kingdom Hearts for years, and
I literally bought you for Christmas.
I know.
It's literally called The Story so far. It has like 15 Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah, I know. I gotta play it. I will get to it.
Dude, and your wife will love it because it's got Disney in it too. So you just sit on the couch with her and you play it, and it's a nice magical experience, all about the power of friendship. Right. You know? Right. So.
But of course, the first one I ever played was this one on.
You played literally the worst. You played the one where it's like you needed to have knowledge of the past 5 games to even understand the concept of what's going on.
Yeah, because they were like sitting on the top of like a clock tower and just sitting there and talking. I have no clue what's going on.
Dude, the Kingdom Hearts
and then the gameplay is just so generic.
So pissed at you.
Yeah. And then it's like the most generic like runways, like in between buildings.
It was a DS game, dude.
I know.
At the time playing that game, I was like, how did they fit a whole Kingdom Hearts game on the DS? It was like blowing my 14-year-old brain at the time.
Yeah.
But man, we gotta get you playing some Kingdom Hearts.
Well, we'll see.
Chat, please help me convince him. Anyway, all right. That's my number 5. What's your number 4?
Number 4 is Yoshi.
Okay. Why do you like Yoshi, Armand?
Yoshi is just...
What does Yoshi do that's going to tell us a little bit about how Armand likes to play?
Yoshi's just so fun. Like, especially in the newest one, he's so strong. And he has like very quick timings to his abilities. Like, he can pop out of his egg and just do quick like kicks. And he's got really high priority, at least like the last time I played him. I don't know if it's been adjusted, but... He has really high priority, and like basically if he hits you first, if you hit at the same time, he's gonna hit you first, which I kind of like about Yoshi, because Yoshi, you kind of have to put yourself in the right position all the time to do the right move, more so than other characters because of his like he's got a bit of floatiness to him.
Yeah, almost like in the video game too. He does the and he does the running in the air sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and his recovery isn't that good either, so you really just have to avoid flying off the level.
Got it.
But in addition to that, he's got, his eggs that he throws. And you can get really technical with how you throw the eggs. You can even throw them behind you. So you could be facing this way and throw it and like loop it behind you, which I think is pretty cool. But getting that arc and just like hitting somebody like 5 times in a row with the eggs or something is just so satisfying.
You can like stun lock them basically.
Yeah, I mean, they get up, you hit them in the face with another egg.
And he has a mechanic like Kirby too, right? Can he swallow people?
Yeah.
So
you just spit them out, basically.
Yeah, but you can hold them there for a while.
So you can turn them into eggs.
That's right, yeah.
I don't typically use that very much.
Isn't that one of those things, though, where you can kind of jump off the level, gobble somebody up, and then, like, poop them out off the level, right?
I think so, but I think the only time that really works is if their HP is low. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but Yeah, if I think their HP is low, they can't break out of it because they don't have enough stamina. Yeah, so tell me about your number 4.
Okay, so my number 4 is Cloud, and you guys are gonna see kind of a pattern with the types of characters that I like to play as well. But I mean, it's no secret that Final Fantasy VII is my favorite, so I kind of just like gravitate towards him.
I'm surprised Cloud's not higher on your list.
Well, you'll see based on how my list goes. Like Cloud is, I feel like a pretty challenging character to play because, especially with his getting back up on the stage, it's very vertical. So it's like a lot of the other characters kind of have that arc to get back on, and it's like you can kind of screw yourself with Cloud trying to get back up.
Right.
And the other thing with Cloud is he has his limit break move, so you kind of have to like just stand still and almost like take damage while you're trying to build that up to be able to do like a really powerful attack. But he's super, super strong if you really hit somebody at the right timing.
Right, yeah.
So he's definitely not a buck character. He's like a roll away, build up your limit break, go back in and like nail somebody with him.
I would slightly disagree with you there because if you've seen my brother play him,
okay,
very, very
your brother's
impressive.
like a pro. So.
Well, I mean, he just jumps and does his down A and just like whacks you with the he does like a sword down and just does that until you're literally like off the level, and then he just edge guards you until you basically lose.
Yeah, even edge guarding, I'm like I barely know how to comprehend doing that.
I mean, it's
any
just
of these characters
prevent him from touching the ledge. That's really it.
Got it. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you guys can tell I'm like much more of a noob than you in terms of playing, but
I think you just don't care as much for the mechanics. You just love the game.
Yeah, and it's like playing through like World of Light and stuff like that. Like I definitely find ways that I like to play the characters, but I know when you get more into the professional territory, it's like somebody would look at how I'm playing, and even though I'm winning or whatever, they'd be like, "That's not the correct way to play." Because if you played another human being, like there's thinking, right? Like
I find it so strange that you don't focus on mechanics that much, but you're still like a really good gamer. Because like you beat games like Devil May Cry, and like really hard games like Souls games and things like that. And I sometimes wonder like how are you beating these games without like playing all the mechanics perfectly?
Dude, honestly, I think me personally, I've got a really good timing. I can see frames pretty well. So it's like even with Smash, it's like I know if somebody's kind of jumping towards me, I can see it fast enough to kind of jump away or dodge roll or something. So that's more my strategy when I play this than like really understanding like the minutia of the mechanics.
I feel like a lot of gamers when they're playing games, they focus too much on what they're doing and not the environment they're in and what the enemy is doing.
And that's what Souls straight up teaches you because all of the enemies are built to be able to read like their attacks. And I think that's what's been going back to our game. What's been fun about building enemies from scratch is like we're kind of keeping that in mind, even though we're building like let's call it a more simplistic kind of 2D game compared to Souls. You know, we're still like, okay, how can we show a wind up with an enemy so that like you actually have the timing to like be able to dodge and stuff like that, which in my opinion makes more fun battles because it feels like a one-on-one kind of exchange as opposed to just like you're dodging because the enemies are just like whacking you, you know? So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, I did my 4. Why don't you go to your number 3?
Sure. My number 3. I'm actually gonna switch my number 3 and my number 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Make this a little more interesting.
I have a lot to say about that one. I have played Armand quite a lot, and he beats me probably like 90% of the time with this specific character, and it's enraging. So
I'll save that one for number 1.
Okay.
All right, so my number 3 is gonna be Samus.
Okay.
Because it was originally Dark Samus.
Okay.
Because she just feels so powerful.
Wait, I thought Samus was a boy. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding.
No, Samus is a girl, and she's pretty badass, actually. Yeah. And I just love to bring her out when I'm faced with a tough opponent. Yeah. Because she's just so versatile.
Yeah, she is a pretty flexible character. I think I don't want to call her a beginner character, but she's somebody that if somebody's new to Smash and they picked her up, like she's more on the easy side to kind of learn.
She's easy to learn, and she can be very oppressive because she not only does she have a lot of ranged moves, but she can really punish you up close. Her running A attack and then her like flaming jump. Just really she can control the air pretty well, I feel like, especially like the up A attack. So her drill kick. So people like will look at me and be like, "Oh, you play Samus, like you're just gonna sit in the back and shoot," and then I punish them up close, and then they eat their own words. So I just love playing Samus because she's, like I said, super versatile and she's fun and she's cool. Like I love the Metroid games. If there's any Metroid fans out there, like I'm a huge Metroid fan. So
she actually kind of plays like the actual 2D games, which is kind of cool about her character. Like you feel like you're still playing her game almost. Yeah.
So I really like that about her. She's just super fun.
Sorry, you were going to say something else too, I think.
Oh, I recently rebeat Metroid Prime with the remake. So pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I just loved playing through that experience again. The first time I played through Metroid Prime, back when I was a kid on the GameCube, I struggled a lot because, I didn't fully understand like Metroidvania
too, right? Because you kind of have to come back with the abilities and stuff like that.
So I didn't quite fully understand it, and I had to learn all those things. And to be honest, the game was a little intimidating for a kid.
Sure.
Because it's so big, and there's like the music was very like eerie and dark.
Yeah.
And, like, it just felt like a mature game, very beautiful, mature game. So the bosses were hard, so they were just hard to approach from that standpoint. But I mean, I loved it. I finally beat it when I was a kid, and I decided to go in and replay it with an open mind.
Did it feel like okay, like compared to modern games now?
I think with the reintroduction of the right stick, because the original game you had to stop and like point and aim and shoot.
See.
So I think with the twin stick capability, it really just kind of like accelerated it to like a new level. In my opinion, made it just so much more fun. And I played the ones on the Wii where you can point the remote, which I thought was pretty fun too. But I didn't ever like point it at the screen. I just kept it on my lap and moved it, which was totally fine for me too.
That's one series that I didn't play until later. I actually never played any of the Metroid Primes. I don't know what it was. I think I'm not as big of a sci-fi kind of guy. I'm more fantasy, so I didn't like kind of gravitate towards them, but I'd say in the past couple of years, I went back and played some of the 2D ones on the Switch, like whatever it's called, the Switch Online thing. And man, those games are freaking hard.
Right.
They are hard, but it's a cool world. I like Samus as a character as well, but yeah, I gotta play that remaster because it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and maybe someday we could talk about Metroid Dread and how fun that game was. I mean, you played through that, I played through that, and
I have some opinions on that game too, though, but we'd probably have some differing opinions.
All right, who's number 3 for you?
All right, so this is Corrin for me, and I'm not right. Corrin is from Fire Emblem, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the many Fire Emblem characters in Smash Ultimate.
Please stop adding Fire Emblem characters. Give us something else.
Oh man, and I actually, that's another series that I've only ever played 3 Houses, which I loved. I love tactical games. But Corrin is just like a cool looking character, and it was like one of those random ones. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna try this character out. Once I figured out her moveset though, I'm like, oh, I can own people with this. Because she does that thing where she she's broken, stabs into the ground. You could just wait until somebody gets close to you and then just like attack them and launch them.
I remember when she first came out and people were playing her, my brother, and I'm like, oh, I hate playing against this character. So annoying.
Yeah, she can be pretty annoying.
That and Robin. What game is Robin from? Is it from?
Who even is Robin?
Robin's like the spellcaster with the he throws like lightning bolts, and he's got like a book.
I think he's also from Fire Emblem.
That's Robin right there.
Okay. I think I mean, I could be wrong. I should know this stuff, but I think he's also from Fire Emblem.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Corrin is my number 3, and she's pretty fun to play. All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is gonna have to be Bowser.
Okay.
Because I feel like Bowser's had a bad like reputation in Smash for many years because he's so slow.
He was in 64, right?
No, he wasn't in 64.
Oh, he was in Brawl.
He was in
the GameCube one.
I believe he's in Melee too.
Oh, Melee, the GameCube one?
Melee's the GameCube one.
That's right. Yeah.
So Bowser was introduced in in Melee for GameCube, and he was just really slow.
Okay.
And you couldn't really do a lot of text with him either. Like, he was just very difficult to play. I mean, there was just no point in playing Bowser when you could play any of the other faster characters. And I know they've made a lot of cool changes to Bowser in some of like the modded games like Project M and things like that. He's just so much cooler and faster, but at least in the older style games, he was just never really useful. I mean, he was fun if you could beat somebody with him.
Sure.
But and he was very punishing. But I feel like in this newest one, he's just so much fun.
He's strong too,
he's
right?
Strong and he's hard to knock around.
Yeah.
And he'll knock you around.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's got decent priority. And unless you don't use his down B, his down A is a lot stronger than his down B, which is kind of weird.
What's the one? Doesn't he isn't there one where he goes down on his shell?
Right. That's the better one.
That's the better one.
That was the easier one to perform, I feel like. And it's so much better than just his down B.
Yeah.
Which I never really understood that.
He as far as I know, he kind of plays like Donkey Kong, right?
In a way.
He's very like slappy on the stage, and you can just like, it's almost like he kind of has like an AoE sort of attack. Like, you can kind of hit people on the left or the right of you with your attacks.
Yeah, especially he has a shell roll, and then he also I like his fire attack, his fire breathing. I feel like it's such an underappreciated ability in my opinion, because you just get so much chip damage. You'll do like 20 damage onto someone just by burning them, and then you can just attack them after. So I don't know. I really like his kit. And he's got really awesome A moves. Like he's got good short air control.
Got it.
Not like he doesn't jump super high, but like in the mid range of air. Like his his fair and his just jumping A attack is just really powerful in my opinion. And he's got like a drop kick that literally you could be at 50 HP or something. He'll just send you off. You're gone. Like
what's been interesting too is literally your whole list is like characters that I don't play.
Yeah.
Like I've played them like once or twice, but
right.
Yeah, it's like I've only messed around with Bowser a little bit. I think also the characters you've been picking definitely have that more techie skill level to them, because if you don't use them right, you're screwed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is the most technical list of characters, but some of them are. But like characters like Inkling are super technical.
I've never used.
She's really fun, but I'm just not that good with her. She is super fun.
Yeah, because she's in the DLC too, right? I think I didn't get her DLC pack. Okay, cool. My number 2 is Meta Knight, and Meta Knight I feel like kind of plays like Corrin. He's got like those like dashing back and forth across the screen, like pointy kind of attacks.
Right.
And he's really quick. I think I like the more like kind of fast, quick, like you can dodge around, like read moves and kind of get out of the way kind of characters. But yeah, he's been pretty cool. And that's another character from a franchise. Like I've definitely played Kirby games, but I'm not like one of those people that's played every single Kirby game, you know? Do you have much experience with Kirby games?
I think if I do. Honestly, I don't think I do.
Yeah,
I
we
might
never
have
really
played
talked
one
about
for
Kirby before.
Game Boy or something a long time ago.
Sure.
But I've been wanting to play that new one,
Dude, I still haven't beaten it. It's Forgotten Lands.
Forgotten Lands. Is that co-op?
It is co-op. Yeah, I've been playing with Grace.
Yeah.
And
I'd borrow that from you.
It's like a perfect one to play with your wife or significant other, because you don't get another Kirby. You get like what are they called? Waddle Dees. And he's got like a little like spear throwing mechanic, so it's kind of like more on the simple side.
Right.
But that's one of those games too that's just like straight fun. Like, and surprisingly, it's actually kind of hard. Some of the bosses are like Souls bosses where you have to read the moves and like dodge out of the way and stuff and use your abilities appropriately. And it's one of those games too that they unlock like little challenge, kind of going back to the last podcast. There's a lot of challenge levels.
Right.
So it'll be like you need to get to the finish line before, this time or whatever, using this ability, and then you get like extra what do you even get in that game? Do you get stars? Why am I forgetting? I haven't played it in a little while, but whatever the thing you collect is. So yeah, again, you gotta play that game. It's fun.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let's get to your number 1 then.
Sure. I mean, this is not going to be a surprise to anyone, honestly. My number 1. So my number one is Villager. And
no, not Villager.
Villager is just super fun. I mean, you know, he's literally the epitome of just troll characters.
Dude, even when we have like a party and we have like 5 people playing Smash, everybody's like, Armand, why?
No,
why
are
you playing?
No,
and he just sits there and he's like,
Actually, he's the most fun to play in a setting with more people because there's more unexpected
oh my god,
delivery of the tree. So it's just so much fun to just sit there and like plant it and it pops out. And then like when the tree's up, your downbeat turns into an axe.
That's right.
And the axe is really strong. Yeah. It's got a good knockback. So you can like jump from behind the tree and just like
doesn't the tree also like when it's grown, even if you run into it, it hurts you, right?
No, not necessarily.
No.
You have to chop it down and then it falls, and
that's right.
It has like multiple hitboxes, I think, because like even if you block it and then you release your shield, it will still like hit you. So
it's
interestingly
infuriating playing him. He'll just sit literally at as far, almost like he's gonna step off the whole stage and then just grow these trees and start whacking it. You can't even get close to him.
Yeah. And
then you have a move too. If somebody were to jump on the other side of you, what do you do to get them like away from you?
Well, you're saying if they jump from on the other side of the level?
Because you kind of stand on the edge of the level, right? So what happens if somebody tries to get on the back side of you?
Or you can chop the tree the other way.
Okay.
What you can do actually is you can chop the tree on both sides because you need to hit it twice on each side.
Okay.
So you can give it a chop on both sides and then you figure out the side that you need to chop it down fully to get the effect. But yeah, I think it's super fun too because it drops like a little piece of wood. You can pick up the wood and throw the wood.
Okay.
People, so
I don't even know if I've played Villager once before because I just looked at how you played and I'm like, no, that is not my style.
Yeah. And he's got that like he can ride Lloyd, which is the hydrant, the fire hydrant.
That's right. That thing's annoying too, dude.
Yeah.
All of the Villagers moves are just straight annoying. They're so hard to read too because it's based on when you want to chop the tree down, and it's so quick.
And his grab attack, he throws a net over you and just like throws you out. It's just super troll. Oh, he's got a really good recovery. I mean, and he can suck up projectiles with his B, which is pretty cool. I'm honestly not that good at the B, sucking the projectiles up, but I don't know. I just love playing it.
And this is what's funny too is what's your experience with Animal Crossing?
None.
Yeah.
I just like the one the villager that has like the swirly eyes and like I think it's one of the girls has like the swirly eyes with like the striped shirt. It's just like super trolls.
Yeah. Oh my god. All right, so
what about you? What's your number one? I already know what your number one is.
You know what my number one is because I always pull him out when I try to defeat your villager. But my number one is Link. It's like so boring, I know, but like I don't know. That's one of those things going back into our history with Smash. It's like I always loved Zelda, so I just always picked Link, even in the N64 one. I just always played him, and he has felt pretty similar throughout the whole franchise,
except for this one.
What?
Because in this one, I feel like he's a lot more technical with the bombs. Because you can do so many interesting things with the bombs. Before the bombs, they would just blow up after a set period of time. But now you can tell them when to blow up.
Yeah.
And you can also do like interesting abilities where you kick the bomb and then blow it up. So
I don't even know if I knew you could do that.
Yeah, you can.
That's cool. Yeah, so I think for him too, it's like his getting back on the stage move is like swirling thing is very like convenient, and it feels just comfortable for me being like the guy that's like dodging around the stage quite a lot.
Right.
But yeah, man, Link is, I don't know, he's just a cool character too.
Of course, it's Link.
Yeah. So let's maybe go into like what now that we've gone through this, what do you think our characters say about us? Do you want to go first about me? Or do you want me to go?
You go first.
Okay, so Armand is the biggest troll in real life and in the game as you could possibly be. And clearly, as we were kind of saying too, you definitely gravitate towards the more technical type of characters, and that's the way you just think as well. Being more of a card game guy, a puzzle guy, even game development wise, you're focusing much more on the not more, but like focusing a lot on the mechanics as opposed to just like this is cool or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it actually is pretty interesting that it's almost like your characters are true your personality, like within itself. Like you Yeah, it's really just like techie and troll. So
yeah, I'd say for you like serious characters with like a touch of fun. Like you just like like that fun, but like kind of serious, and also you love swords.
Yes,
so
I love swords.
All your favorite characters that you told us today, you know, they all have swords. So I think you just like that extra range of the sword, but you don't like to play like a super defensive strategy, but you also don't like to be super up close. You kind of like to play in the middle where a sword can kind of get you that extra reach. Yeah. So I think that what that says about you is that you just kind of like to be almost like a hybrid, kind of play in between the distances.
It's so funny you say it's true, because like even in other games I play, like Souls, let's go back to, I'm not the heaviest sword guy, but I'm not the like rapier like small sword guy either. What? Did you think I said something else?
You said you're the rapier guy.
Rapier as in the type of sword. Oh my god. I'm trying to that was the first sword that came to mind. I don't even know the other small swords, but you know what I mean? I'm not a light sword guy, and I'm not the heaviest sword guy. I'm like the mid-tier sword guy. But when I play games where you can like spec into like offensive abilities and magic, I like to be a sword wielder that can also have some, even if it's like not high damage, some magic, because I do like I know in most games you get into those situations when you're fighting certain enemies where they have some annoying up close attack. So I like the option. Like with Link is a good example. He's got his bow and arrow, right? Like he's not only a close combat character, like he has enough ranged abilities that if I see an opponent that is gonna be annoying, like Link against Bowser would be annoying to try to hit Bowser up close. So I'd probably try to dodge more, throw bombs, shoot arrows, and stuff like that.
This reminds me of FF7 a bit too, because when I play Cloud, I try to I make him like my main spellcaster.
Oh, interesting.
Even though like Cloud he's got a sword, he's meant to melee, but I feel like all the other characters, unless you're playing Aerith, like don't really have like good. I don't know. I feel like they're not
magic
good
attack damage.
Yeah, magic attack damage, and they're not really good casters. Like you'll give them an off ability, like you'll give Tifa like a blizzard ability, just so you have some diversity.
Yeah.
But I feel like Cloud can really kind of optimize on your mana damage, especially when Aerith's not in the party.
Yeah.
And so I made him kind of like a hybrid of magic and attack.
Yeah.
Because you get Tifa too, and Tifa's a close range attacker. So you can kind of differentiate. You don't want to make like two heavy melee attackers and just one range. Because if you don't have Aerith for like half the game. So it's like, you know.
And that's actually funny too, going back to our game too. We kind of built Traveler to be almost a dual wielder as well. He has his melee attacks that you need to build up your magical energy essentially, and then you can cast magic that has some range, some AoE and stuff like that. So I don't know, in video games in general, being able to be more flexible is just more fun for me. I think based on your list too, a lot of times it's like you're gonna learn the crap out of like almost like what the game is trying to get you to do, and then you're gonna execute it perfectly, you know.
I'll try.
You'll try. Yeah. I think I can't think of a game off the top of my head, but we've had discussions before where you're like, well, why aren't you playing the game like this? And I think because you're thinking like, okay, the game's tutorial taught me that I can do this, so I'm going to figure out a way, almost like in a puzzly sense of like how to implement that.
It's like the game gives you like hints at like these mechanics will help you.
Yeah.
So like when you actually sit down and try to figure them out, you're like, wow, this gives me a big advantage. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of like people will just kind of miss those things if they're just trying to play the game or whatever. Like God of War kind of reminds me of that, because you can really kind of focus in on the different abilities in God of War, like, you know, bring the enemy in and then do like
that's actually the game I think I was thinking of when we were talking about how we were playing that game. You were using a lot of those abilities that I'm like, I don't really even mess around with that.
Like the axe does like special like you inflict like a freeze effect, and then like it increases the damage from the axe or something like that. I honestly can't remember. It's been so long since I played it, but
it's like those techie things where you're almost like doing the work to go into the text and be like, okay, how can I combine this thing that they're giving me with this other thing to make a style that's like gonna maximize.
Exactly.
So that's
like The Witcher 2 is kind of like that.
Yeah, with the elixir or the potions and stuff like that. So that's actually interesting. It feels like there's kind of three general types of players. There's the player that does look at these intricate ways of combining what the developer's telling them they can do to maximize output. So that's more you. I'm more like, across all video games, I kind of play the same way. Like, I like to just read moves, and if there's like, okay, this heavy attack does the most amount of damage, I kind of gravitate towards like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing that if it's going to maximize output. And then there's the players that don't care about anything, and they're just like going in and whacking stuff until they like win, you know? So it's kind of funny how these different characters kind of tell you about who you are as a gamer. So I don't know, maybe it would be fun. We don't have to, obviously there's so many Smash characters, but like maybe we could just go through a couple of them and be like, what out of those three, what kind of player would choose that character?
I think if you're a Fox player, if Fox is your favorite, you're obviously cool because Star Fox is really cool. But you also like, you're still like passionate about GameCube Fox, like Melee Fox. Like you want Melee Fox to live on. So you're kind of a person that just likes to not cling on to their memories, but you love to just
you're a nostalgic
person. Yeah. So I think that if you play Fox, you're probably cool and you like nostalgia.
I think Pikachu, probably Pikachu, Ness, Pichu, and Kirby all fall more under your style, where it's like you're really gonna look at these more intricate, like, because Pikachu has the thing, and so does Ness, right, where you can like move the little,
like the
shock thing around. So you're gonna like jump off the stage, kind of hang there, let that flow around, keep hitting somebody, and you're gonna try to like tech your way through, because they're not super powerful characters.
Also, if you play Ness, you have a big ego.
Why do you say that?
Because a lot of the people I grew up with that played Ness, they just like, they thought they were the shit like all the time. Like, oh, I'll just beat you with Ness, and I'm like, dude, no, you're not. And Ness is good and all, but like once I knock you off the level, like good luck.
I think it's because if you can be really good with Ness, like you have to be a good Smash player, because he's kind of hard to figure out.
Super fun. I love playing Ness actually.
Yeah, because he's another cheese character.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Pika Fire.
Oh my god.
Let's see, who's another good character to pick.
I think Mewtwo also falls under the same category. He's more like kind of intricate.
I think if you're a combo player, you like combos, you like kind of like cool stuff, like badass stuff, and you like psychic type Pokemon. You're like a mystic person, right? You like the mystical stuff. Yeah. I think that's, if you play Mewtwo, you're that kind of person.
Yeah. And let us know in the comments too, guys, if we're like hitting these on the nail, because so far with each other, I mean, it could be just because we know each other, but we've played so many other people in Smash. You kind of know when your friend is coming to your house, the type of character they're going to pick based on their personality. It's the weirdest thing.
What's another good one? Captain Falcon. If you play Captain Falcon, you're also a nostalgic player. You like F-Zero, which maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I think Captain Falcon is just super fun. Like, he's just kind of goofy, like his like motions and stuff.
So he'd almost be like that third option, where he's just like the kind of guy that just likes to go in and whack stuff and just see what happens, right?
Yeah. Well, if you play Captain Falcon, you probably like a fun, loving person. You like high speed action sports. You probably like motorbike and stuff like that, or skateboarding.
Yeah, because there are some characters that just based on their like kind of the character's personality, like, I don't want to play as them. You know, I'm not. I'm not. It's like I like some silliness, but Captain Falcon is kind of like over the top. Yeah. Another character like that, it's like I like playing the actual game Pac-Man, but like I would never pick Pac-Man. Like, I've messed around with that character, and he's just like,
I feel like a lot of new players pick Pac-Man.
Really?
Yeah, because he's just Pac-Man. You know, people know Pac-Man and they're
Sure.
like, oh, he looks cool. But I think Pac-Man is kind of hard to play.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty technical in my opinion. Like he's got his different moves can be utilized in so many interesting ways.
Yeah.
So.
And Sonic is actually kind of annoying to play too, in my opinion.
That's another character a lot of new players I feel like they gravitate towards because he's fast. But a lot of them I feel like don't understand how to combo with Sonic.
Yeah.
Because Sonic is really good.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So
yeah, he's hard to control.
I think a lot of people online also agree with that. Like he's a pretty good character.
And honestly, I love the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and I love playing. That's what's actually kind of weird because that is one of the games where, well, I guess I don't know. I guess I do now that I'm psychoanalyzing myself. Like I still kind of play Metal Gear the way I play other games, where it's like I like to have the hybrid. I'm not fully sneak. I'm not fully attack. Yeah. So, but I hate playing Snake.
I wish I could play Smash. I wish I could play Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Like as a stealth, like the whole time, but it's like impossible because like I feel like I'm doing so good, and then I just mess it up at the end. Yeah. I'm like, all right, guns a-blazing now.
I think that's probably most people's experience.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just so fun.
Oh my god.
Let's see. Wario players. If you're a Wario player,
you just like to steamroll people.
You just like to just make people's lives miserable in video games.
Yeah. Because he has that bike thing that just keeps going across the stage, right?
A bit of troll. You got a bit of troll in you, obviously, if you're playing Wario. You like playing strong characters, and you're probably just a strong person in real life. So
Sure. What about Piranha Plant? I haven't even tried that one.
Piranha Plant?
Have you played him much?
I haven't played too much Piranha Plant. I know he's a heavy character. All right, here's one that I think maybe a lot of people will agree with. If you play Wii Fit Trainer...
What does that say about you?
What does that say about you is that, okay, first of all, you're a troll, first and foremost.
Okay.
And you're trying to just kind of make something out of nothing, which is kudos to you, because it's just such a boring, generic character. And if you emote and do a stretch after you beat somebody, then you're that kind of person that just likes to rub things into people's faces.
Yep.
But I will say that you're a person that likes challenges. You're somebody who likes to just kind of, see if there's some substance in something that has no substance, in my opinion. So, so kudos to you.
But you don't want a Wii trainer person coming to your house, right? Play with you.
That's right, because you are the Wii Fit trainer. So, yep. All right, now that we've kind of chatted a bunch about Smash and our love for the game, I guess, what would you want to see in your future Smash game? How would you improve Smash and the experience? And yeah, what would you like to see?
Yeah, that's interesting, and it's something I keep thinking about because they've really touted Smash Ultimate as the ultimate Smash game with all the characters, and it's one of those things where it's like, how can they do a next step? And it's been a lot of video games recently, like even this would be another topic, but like Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, how the heck are they going to make another Zelda game after that when that was just massive? So for me, I think in terms of Smash, I'm going to be talking more about the non-technical gameplay stuff, because I think gameplay-wise, I'm sure they will add, I don't know, whatever techie stuff that I don't even really understand into the like fighting part, but more the game modes is something I'd be kind of interested in. So in my opinion, I think what would be good is they have their whole roster that they almost just like import as much as they can, maybe tweak stuff, whatever, add some more characters, because I can't imagine there's going to be a Smash game for years now at this point. So there will probably be new games that they can include, new characters and stuff like that. But I'm a huge story guy. I want a little bit more of a story. And it's like, I know that Smash Ultimate had the World of Light thing where it's like, you start off as Kirby and then they like all turned into like red-eyed ones, and stuff like that, of course. But what I was thinking about as a comparison was, did you play FF Dissidia on PSP?
I did, yeah.
Do you remember how much story was in that game?
Been so long.
There was like cutscenes for like every single character, and I know the roster was still smaller, but it's like that was a game that came out like 15 years ago or something like that, and it felt you felt invested in the character, even if the story was kind of like on the more generic side, but like there was a big bad guy,
Right.
like even if they had like the hand thing as like having some sort of personality or a motive or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I liked World of Light, that like there was kind of light RPG elements, there's a collecting thing, but it felt so separated. So I'm kind of racking my head as to like, as a developer, if I were to design Smash, what would make it like really cohesive. But I think just having more of a trajectory for each character and a path that they go on, as opposed to World of Light, felt like very different. Like you could get halfway through and then like switch your character.
Right.
So almost combining like the classic mode where you're kind of just running through with one character, and then having more of a story element, maybe being able to like actually really feel like you're leveling up your character somehow or upgrading. Because I don't know, man, the upgrade things you could add were kind of basic or something.
Even that, I don't know. It's just too much to manage.
It didn't feel rewarding.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, is like a lot of games that have an RPG element to it, even if it's not an RPG in itself, like you want to feel some sort of progression. So like, I don't know, man, even I'm even thinking like, so classic mode is a thing where if you don't get to the end, right, you have to restart the whole thing. It's like, what if they had some sort of weird what is the name of roguelite? What if they had some sort of roguelite element where it's like you get to a certain point and it's almost like a checkpoint, right? And then like, or you start off like, let's say in your hub zone, and then once you get to the checkpoint, you can decide like, do I want to jump there? Do I want to go back through, get my buffs on the way there? And then it kind of feels like you're really having to master the moves and the abilities that you're getting along the way.
I feel like classic mode is a bit of a very light roguelite, because like the first level is always the same, and then the last level is just master hand, and then in between it could be anything.
Sure.
And then there's all-star mode, if you remember that too. That was kind of similar from Melee.
I don't remember that.
So that was the one I was telling you about, where you keep your health from match to match.
Yeah.
And so
That's brutal.
so those are some good points though. I agree with you. I think it'd be really cool to just see like Mario and Fox like interacting or something.
Yeah.
It's like, Fox, like, I need your help, and Fox gets in his R-Wing and like he flies around and does something like a cool cutscene, and then but I think people might be maybe not interested in playing Mario, for example. They want to be like, I want to play my character that I want to play,
but
and that's also what might make it.
I think it making you play the characters kind of forces you into learning them too.
That's true.
Even if their campaign is like really short, like 10 battles or whatever, but there's just like a small story or small progression. Or it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like you play 10 levels as Mario, you have to get to the checkpoint where then you can decide on the next character you want to play, and it's like I guess that kind of becomes like World of Light, but I think I just want more structure to it, as opposed to it being kind of a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting too if they incorporated like some of those fighting game mechanics where you can switch out characters.
Yeah.
So you could be like, all right, maybe I don't want to play, like kind of like a Pokemon trainer. You can switch out the different Pokemon.
Yeah.
But you could do that for like all the characters. Maybe you bring in you're facing Samus. Maybe you bring in like Falco, so you can deflect the Samus projectiles or something. You know what I mean?
That's a cool idea.
And that would kind of be like a counterbalance. Like you got to find the right time to switch and counter.
You have to build the right party that you feel comfortable with to proceed as well.
Right. Exactly.
Huh, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of like in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Did you play any of that?
I played a little bit.
Yeah, you had I think it was a party of 3, and you could kind of swap out as you saw fit.
Yeah. But maybe Smash is just always going to be Smash, and it's always just going to be different from all the other games, which is totally fine too.
It is, but I do feel like a lot of the Switch main staples like Mario Kart, Smash, it's like there's it's like they've added so much, but at the same time, there's not like that meat to it, and it's hard to place what that would be. And I guess a good example, like, I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but for example, with Mario Kart, dude, if they followed more like a Need for Speed format, where it's like you could customize your karts, and there's like some sort of world or some sort of thing that's not just like racing over and over and over again, I think Smash needs a similar sort of format where there's some game to the game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know what do you have any other ideas of what that could possibly be? It's hard to. Well, I guess I've played like Tekken games, for example, where it kind of breaks you out, kind of like in the old Smash game where you had the get through the level thing, or you're just like jumping through. Yeah, race to the finish thing, where it's like you had a mechanic where I forget what Tekken game it was. It was on a PS3, but like in between the fights, it was like almost top down view, and you'd go and you just like beat up thugs.
Oh, okay.
And it was like there was a story to each character, you know. So it was kind of like the fighting mode, but there was like in between
almost
the
like
battles,
a mini game.
Almost like a mini game, but it was almost also like you were playing like a third person action game in between it.
Right.
So I know this is like asking a lot, and like, but we're just speculating like what would be like the perfect situation. It would be like there's more of a campaign specifically for the characters, which I think could be really cool.
No, I agree. I wonder at what point Nintendo will cap the number of characters in Smash, because it seems almost unsustainable, and I feel like people might say like, well, this character was in the last game, so why aren't they in this game? And yeah, that's true, but eventually it's going to get to a point where it's just going to be way too difficult to manage everything. Even the more people you add, it's just exponentially growing, like the testing and development process. So I think there's probably going to be a point at some time where maybe they'll be like, okay, we might can some characters that are kind of similar, or maybe they'll do the thing they did in Melee where it's just kind of like a mirror character, and just kind of keep the skin in there, or maybe modify the abilities slightly. Could be something like that. Also, another thing I think would be interesting is I miss when you could collect trophies in Melee.
The little statues. Yeah.
And you can kind of go in and look at them. And I thought that was super cool. I really just did not like this whole sticker book thing in Ultimate. It was just so boring, and
it's almost like I'd rather have less things to collect, but it's a more interesting thing.
Yeah.
Or it is integrated somehow into the campaign.
Right.
Like,
or in the original, it's like you beat the classic mode as Mario, you got a specific Mario statue.
Yeah.
So you could like kind of you knew which ones you needed to collect. And
that's a good point.
It would give you an incentive to play like the classic mode or whatever with those characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was cool. And also, like, I know people disagree with me on this because people want to just have all the characters when the game launches, but I kind of miss that element. And this is just the nostalgic thing, is missing that element of unlocking the characters. There's so many more now, so I can understand why Nintendo's just like, here, just try to get the character you want as fast as possible. But back then it was like you had to complete challenges to get certain characters.
Yeah.
And that felt super rewarding.
Yeah.
But
there still is an unlock mechanic. I think it just is like easier now or something. I think you either play World of Light and you have to find the character that you want to unlock, or you just keep playing battles until you
Melee,
unlock stuff. But yeah, oh man, there was something else I was gonna say. You were talking about
the trophies.
Oh, you were talking about the mechanics and the limiting the. That's why I almost think in the next game it's almost like, and I don't know, people that play competitive Smash, I know I'll have opinions about what would make that aspect better, but it's like I don't even need the mechanics to change for any of the characters or the gameplay itself. It's like just add more characters, a couple more characters that fit that. But like, the whole restructure of the game outside the fighting, I think, is what would benefit it.
Like maybe with that example I gave with Fox earlier, is like you could play the game co-op with somebody, and like when that point comes, someone gets Fox and someone gets Falco.
That would be really cool.
They kind of add like a little extra thing if you're playing with two people.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's too far out. I mean, they are cutscenes, so they are probably a little more costly, but
and it doesn't even need to be like those like insanely. It could be like the more in-game cutscene kind of stuff, like kind of like Dissidia, dude. There were so many cutscenes in that game, from what I remember, and man, I gotta go back to exactly how that worked. But I do. Your characters straight up leveled up. It was like an RPG. Like I remember like level 99 in Cloud.
Right.
So I don't know.
Maybe it was so weird.
It was
like the combat.
So weird,
it was cool. It was like it was almost like Dragon Ball Z like.
Yeah, you were like flying around and stuff.
It's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
And you got to play as all the cool characters from the games, which was super awesome. Like, but at the end of the day, it's just the mechanics were just so cheese.
I know. So I remember it was one of those games you just keep doing the same moves over and over to win. Yeah. But it was a PSP game. Yeah. It was cool. Nice. All right, so let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Like, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. If you haven't checked out Traveler's Refrain yet, you can actually download our free mini art book on our website, or you can check it out on Steam to Wishlist right now. So
we also have some really cool perks on our website too.
Yeah.
Some extra stuff we're planning to add into the game if you want to be involved in development. Everything on our website goes right into our team. So you'd be helping us with development, and you'd be getting some cool stuff of yourself maybe in the game as well too. So.
Yeah, cool. So check that stuff out, and we will see you next week. Until next time, see you guys. Bye.